What's up, guys? So, finally, my home situation is fixed. Thank you for everybody that was super patient. But exciting news is the fact that Strange Matter Studios actually decided to make their own tutorial and put this into the game. Now, I will say this, I personally have watched the entire tutorial. If you guys have not gotten a chance to see that, I'll make sure there's a link in the description below so you guys can check it out. But honestly, it's pretty detailed. It's pretty extensive, but they try to keep it as condensed as possible, all the information. Very, very good must watch for everybody that plays the game. Now, it is one of those things that I'm concerned as for the length of it because of what it is, and I'll explain. Like, they go over several different subjects here, like aspects in favor, item store and the heads up display, laning and map awareness. They go over the draft, they go over jungle and objectives, the menu. So they do quite a good job of explaining everything. Now, I'm actually curious as to in the game, are they going to have just a short 2-3 minute clip that people can look at, or if people want to know about the jungle and objectives, are they going to have to go all the way to like minute 5:45, like 5 minutes and 45 seconds into the video? And how will people know that that information is there? You follow? So I would recommend, as you know, my personal advice as to Strange Matter Studios is to grab this video, which I think they did a great job in, and splice it up and have those splices available in the game in the menu. I think that would be the best thing to do as far as new player onboarding and as far as new player orientation. Now, if anything, I gotta say, I applaud them for doing this tutorial. I quite frankly didn't expect this anytime soon, so I'm actually very, very, very glad. A lot of people would argue that this should have been there in the beginning of the game, and quite frankly, I have to agree. That should have been there from the beginning. The reputation's been tainted a little bit just because of the difficult onboarding process, but at least that's something that is there for the oncoming players that are going to be playing down the road, of course. So if anything, they're taking a step in the right direction. I applaud them. That would be my advice to them. Get that condensed into the separate sections in separate videos if possible, and then have those separate links on the page or the separate videos in the game. That way it would be easily accessible information, and you're like, when people look at a 7-minute video about tutorial, they might not necessarily know or care to pay attention to read because it is in the description. But the average person isn't going to sit there and read and be like, hey, at 5:45, that's when they talk about jungle. That's the one that I want to watch. You know what I mean? So I like it. I like the changes that they're making. I do think it's a bit delayed in its own, but at the same time, I'm very happy that this is a choice that they made. Now, if anything, I also want to talk about this new developer blog that they decided to implement. Now, they mentioned these blogs will be a direct source of information from the dev team themselves. And our first episode comes straight from the desk project manager, Liam Sargent Ong. I think, or St. Ong. I'm sorry. I'm Leon St. Ong. I probably butchered that. Anyway, but fresher than Febreze, fresher. Now, if anything, I do want to read this out to you guys at least a little bit so you guys can understand. Now, they explained why they decided to start doing the dev blogs and anything, and I'm honestly, quite frankly, happy that they're listening to a little bit of the feedback. The fact that the community wants to hear from the developers, almost like an update, so to speak, as to what exactly is going on, because people are wanting to know these details, especially with anticipation, and they bring up the heads-up display delay. Now, they mentioned one of the main topics of discussion as of late has been our heads-up display and why we have not shared more info on it. The truth is, we weren't happy with the design we previously had commissioned. Therefore, we decided to restart the design from scratch, taking a different approach. Now, I can confirm this is true. My source over at SMS told me a bit ago when they got their hands on the new heads-up display, and I was wondering why it hadn't been implemented. I got a little bit of information as to that, but if anything, I applaud them for looking at a heads-up display and saying, hey, you know what? This isn't exactly what we want. Like, we paid somebody to do a heads up display. They fell short. It happens. We've all contracted somebody that didn't follow through, so we get somebody else to do the job that is better qualified, and that happens, right? And they mentioned here we're a small team and can only implement so many things at once. Therefore, we do not want to start the implementation of a design that we are not happy with. That's good. Now, they also continue to say it will lead to a lot of wasted time making something that will just end up being a placeholder. We want false next heads up display to be the heads up display the game will use. Therefore, we're taking time to ensure it's exactly what the game needs. Now, I like that. Now, they go on to say how, like, what they kind of want out of the heads up display. They go on to say what they're trying to do. Like, one thing I do want to mention here is, so they're trying to implement a similar pinging system, and they actually quote here Apex Legends, where you can click, drag, and say enemy here, enemy missing from here, or last seen, stuff like that. You get where I'm coming from. So trying to implement some sort of pinging system like that, while also being able to click on the 2D minimap if you wish, kind of like League of Legends and stuff like that. So it's interesting. I'm intrigued about the ping system that they're planning on implementing here, and I'm actually intrigued as for the heads up display, considering that they scrapped the old one. They wanted a new heads up display, and they're getting very detailed with like what they want. Like, for example, they mentioned here a currently active item has its border lit up with a VFX to indicate that it's active, or an item in cooldown changing shape from a box to a circle, or a VFX that runs through the minimap lanes to indicate it's time to push after prime that has been taken or team killed. These are things that will bring the heads up display to a AAA level of quality. And I'll be honest, that's honestly going to improve the new player experience a lot if they do actually manage to get a heads up display up to those standards. Because quite frankly, everything that they're saying it doesn't sound like a bad idea, quite frankly. But it is one of those things that at the end of the day, it basically just comes down to time and cost, right? Because these are very detailed things that I'm assuming if they're paying somebody else to do it, it's going to take time, it's going to take money. Now, if they're doing this one-time investment and, because that's really what they're going for, and they stated that in the previous message, this is an investment for what they want the game to be. So they're aiming for end goal heads up display. Now, I want to ask you guys, and I want to hear about it in the comments below, if you guys honestly think that they should be aiming for end game heads up display, or whether they should just be doing a better heads up display now that helps players now, that helps the community now, and then progress and better the heads up display as the time goes on. I am more of the latter, because it's one of those things that at the end of the day, yes, we want as best a result as possible, and the anticipation at this point, everybody is expecting the best as possible. But I caution them with time, the essence of time, considering the fact that they are going to delay it even further to get something which they're aiming for is perfection, right? And we all know there is no such thing as perfect, and it's going to be one of those things that at what point does the excess time become a hindrance as opposed to, a benefit that they can use? Like, taking more time to do it might not, at one point, it's just going to go from a benefit of having extra time to a hindrance, especially because they do have other competitors in the market. So if anything, guys, that's basically what I wanted to go with you over you all. I wanted to go over with you all. Jeez, I can't English. But thank you so much, guys, for watching all the videos. Thank you so much for liking, for the subscriptions. You guys are amazing. I appreciate everybody that commented in my last video about the whole home situation that I'm going through. You guys are fucking OGs. I read every single one of your comments. I replied to every single one of your comments. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And as always, till the next video.